Welcome back. Welcome in to Lions Share Podcast. The Lions have rightfully taken back over first place in the NFC North, Kings of the North. A thriller in Minnesota today. The Lions win at 31-29 over the Minnesota Vikings. Even an extra play at the end for Minnesota. Couldn't even give them a chance at a dub. Got down early, but did not get down on themselves, persevered, overcame so much penalties, injuries, field position, etc. today. It was a lot of growth from the team. I think a team in the past would not have overcome what they did today, and we would not have seen this. Under 2 minutes to go, they hit St. Brown, get themselves in field goal range, take a couple knees, which was curious, but it worked. And then Bates struts out there. And Andrew, you were so right about a lot of predictions today. You had Gibbs, big game. You predicted that. Check. You got a final score of 33-31. You were so close, just a couple points away from the final today, 31-29. But boy, was I right, or boy, was I glad you were wrong about Bates missing some field goals. That was another bullet point that you said, I hope you were wrong on, and you were wrong, which was great because that was the one we didn't want. Jake Bates with a game-winning field goal there. Lions take first place in the North. Vikings undefeated no more. Huge win for the Lions this season. Season changing.
Yeah, let me say it's hard to remember all the baloney you sling when you sling so much baloney in one show. So I also was trying to remember if I had that note in there. Did Jake miss it yet? Was he due for a miss? And boy, when he kicked that, I don't know about you guys, very nervous. That thing was wobbly. It started one way, came back the other, and finished the first way. I don't know what was going on with that thing, but it was dead center. Let's go, Jake. Officially a Lion.
I love the confidence you can tell, and DC talks about it after the game. Like, he hit that little dance afterwards, and I was like, okay, that's why they sent him out. When you're hitting silly dances as a kicker, you've got the confidence to go out there and ice a game. DC talked about how they've been simulating all that stuff in practice with, fans yelling at him, teammates yelling at him, DC getting right in his face yelling at him, and he said they were confident that he could get it done. Obviously, I texted you guys and I said, I'm not sure about this strategy with the kneel downs. I understand it. You don't want to risk the turnovers after putting it on the ground 3 times today. But yeah, it all worked out. And he one of those little wobblers, but he drilled. I mean, room to spare for sure.
Yeah, here's the clip here, and I didn't catch the celebration
44 for the lead.
Live until I saw the replay,
Bates
probably because I was celebrating myself.
Delivered.
But look at
Detroit
this.
is on top with 15 seconds left.
I don't know what that is. I don't know if you guys seen that from
44.
Bates in the past. Is that something that he did in the XFL, UFL, whatever we're calling it? I don't know.
The kick or the dance?
The dance.
That's the Costco guys. He's bringing the boom.
Really?
44.
Is that like the Rizzler? Well, Mitch, to your point about the jumping over the. Sorry, Andrew. Did you have something there?
No.
Oh.
I just feel like you have to pick one way or the other. It's either legal or it's not.
I think because he's jumping the gap.
44
Because he's not touching him, I think.
for the lead.
Well, he touched
But
it.
he
He uses
definitely
them
touches
as.
him.
Yeah, they probably just missed
44.
that because that's the leverage penalty. I also saw Metellus coming off the edge there, 44.
Yeah.
Got a little close for comfort there, but
laid
Andrew,
out,
yeah.
might have got it.
Delivered.
Yeah.
Detroit is on top.
But
with
Andrew, to your
15
point about the
seconds
wobbler,
left.
yeah, it was going through my head the whole time. Before he even came out there, I'm thinking 44 yards, he's probably good for that. But we've seen him miss extra points, which are shorter. Yeah, it was a little scary. Didn't have full faith. Mentioned to you guys the heart rate got a little out of hand there. We did check, Mitch. I know this was a thing between you and I last year. I don't know if you got any numbers from yourself today, but I bumped up all the way to 114 during that kick. It was not.
Boy, let me check.
Yeah.
I'll have to look here.
Usually hover around 100 in these moments, but today was a little extra spicy with that kick from Bates. I was a little nervous. Got to be real with the fans, the shareholders. I'm sure you all at home were as well. But just an awesome win. I mean, incredible. We talked about it on the pre-show, Andrew. This is not only a big win in the NFC North, but it's also a huge win in the NFC as a whole. A lot of teams, or a lot of people, I'm sure, in the power rankings this week, going to have the Lions at number 1, no doubt, right? Don't you guys think that we'll see the Lions kind of unanimously at number 1 now?
Chiefs just kind of pooed on the 49ers, which I've asked you guys. I don't know what's going on with the 49ers at 3-4. You can kind of just say maybe they're not, or they're 3-4, right? Maybe they're just not good. I think you'll see Chiefs 1, Lions 2 everywhere.
We really need
Washington's definitely trending up, eh?
Yeah, speaking of which, wanted to tell you guys, coming into this week, the Lions were the sole team averaging over 30 points a game. They get 31 today, so they're keeping that average right there, about 31 points. But would the Commanders put up 40 today? And the Commanders were sitting, I think, in third. So I don't know what that does for the average, but they may be just sneaking their way up. But the Lions maintain that 30-plus a game again. And Andrew, we talked about Jared over 18 passes, 22 completions, 22 of 25. But first win of the year for the Lions where Jared throws more than 18 completions.
Yeah, not gonna lie too, and we'll hear it in the halftime capsule. I was afraid to give the stats because I saw them flashed on the screen. He was 12 for 12 at the half. I saw it really quickly though and didn't see anything behind it. I assumed he was 12 for 12 in the second quarter because of how poorly that first quarter went just all around. So to see he was going 100% into the second half, and then he carried it quite a ways into the second half as well. I mean, just what a way to turn around for that offense and like team in general.
It just comes back to, if Goff can be like that every week, it's going to be really hard to beat this Detroit Lions team. We saw him turn the ball over a few times today, a couple of opportunities to turn it over more. We'll touch on the offensive line here in a moment that led to some of those. But if you can if you can clone this, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, if you can just clone this operation, it's going to be really hard for anybody on any given Sunday to beat the Lions. So it's incredible from Jared. Once again, you almost come to expect him to be at least 10 for 10 to start every game now. The way they script the plays and get him involved between Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, they're really playing to Jared's strengths, and Jared's taking care of the ball out there. That's what we need each and every week. 22 of 25 this week. And in terms of stats, Andrew, it's pretty incredible just across the box score to see the team stats, how close they were. And obviously it was a close game, so you expect that. But, the Lions had only 12 more yards, almost 400 yards on offense. Both had a turnover, 16 to 19 first downs. Time of possession was basically dead even. Total plays basically dead even. Minnesota with 244 passing yards, Detroit with 247. Yards per play, all 7 and 7.4. And penalties both had 8.
Wow. I didn't realize the stats came in that close. That's crazy. To go along with Jared's stats, though, give credit, to all the receivers out there. They weren't some of the prettiest passes we've seen. He had some really beautiful balls. Mitch, you talked about it before we got on, the one to Amon-Ra down the center. But the one to David Montgomery, he had that acrobatic catch. There was a couple guys' feet as well. So credit to all the receivers and credit to the line for giving the opportunity to do it. Decker got cooked a few times, but for dropping back that many times, and the stat, what was it? They had blitzed 55.2% of the time on their dropbacks. So to have that kind of percentage and that kind of protection, that's a day.
Absolutely, and completed a lot of passes to a lot of different people too. Andrew, that was one of your keys coming into this week, was spread the ball around like you did it against Dallas and get everybody involved. And outside of Jamison Williams, they did get everybody involved. Jamison with the one catch for -4 today on that horizontal play. But Tim Patrick's 2 for 25. Laporta added 1 for 25. Montgomery 3 for 39. Khalif Raymond with 3 huge catches. We talked about it in our text message, but that huge scoring drive that led to him getting into the pay dirt for the first time this year. 3 catches, 39. Gibbs, 4 catches, 44. And St. Brown with a very much St. Brown day, 8 catches, 112 yards.
Very, very sticky hands from St. Brown today. You're right. That's a very St. Brown game.
And quietly too. He came up huge in big moments. And he was kind of sporadic here and there, but it's not like they were peppering him all day long either.
No, and we've seen him have to do that in the past. And honestly, let me see. I was going to say, I don't think they didn't connect with St. Brown every time. So he's 8 catches, 8 targets. They connected every time. And that's just speaks to that chemistry that has been growing over time as these two continue their careers together. But, you just rely on those guys, and you got to give a big shout out like it did to Leaf, too, to build up his chemistry and try to be that number 3-4 between him and Tim Patrick on the wide receivers, and a step up on a day that Jamison Williams was kind of taking a back seat. Was out there blocking though. He was blocking. You got to give him credit for that. Didn't see much target wise. Obviously, only the one target, one catch, but a really solid day. And Amon-Ra St. Brown been fighting a lot of double teams. I think I saw a thing on Reddit, some advanced analytics on how much he got double teamed. I think he's getting double teamed more than almost any wide receiver out there right now. So probably speaks to why we've seen him less involved lately, at least in terms of yardage. But nice to see him come back in a big way. And he always just seems to go off against Minnesota. And then in rushing attacks, Gibbs was your lead back today. 15 carries, 116 yards. And shout out to Andrew for calling that. And he had that juke, too, that you saw, I'm sure, caught your attention.
Tried to reenact it, man. I mean, that was funny. I'm sorry. I was just laughing. I was getting a little head on our schedule. I see in the defensive note, JJ held only 81 yards. Didn't realize Jefferson was held to that few yards. If you were to ask me who had more yards, St. Brown or Jefferson, easily would have said Jefferson. I think he just had a louder 81 yards. But, I mean, Gibbs. Finally, I mean, Sonic and Knuckles, Montgomery gets a little bit of a knee injury. He has the big fumble, which is like, he wants that one back. He was beating himself up on the sidelines. And you give the ball to Gibbs, and he scampers for 50 yards, and he sparked the entire offense and probably the defense to go along with it. I mean, that was the shift in this game, is that starting run from Gibbs.
And shout out to him for 7.7 yards per carry on average. Had a couple big ones into up that average, but had the longest run. I think his 45-yarder was the longest one of the day for him. But that Minnesota defense,
longest of his career.
Was it the longest of his career?
Which is shocking to me.
Yeah, I would have thought that he would have surpassed that in his 2 years.
I think maybe we've all been fooled by like a long screenplay or pass play. But yeah,
Sure.
That's what they said on the call today. That's the longest rush of his career.
Did you catch too on the call that Minnesota, I think, had never given up over? That was the longest run that Minnesota's given up all year. I can't remember what their previous high was. I think it was in the 20s. But it's not like he's running the ball against a lackluster defense. That's one of the best defenses in the league, led by Brian Flores, who had a chess match going with Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson. Kudos to those two. Tip of the cap for both of those coaching staffs. But I wanted to give a big tip to the clock management that you spoke of, Mitch, before the end of the game and also before the half. Thought Dan, who's had some issues with clock management in the past, thought he really did a good job, especially before the half. The kneel downs, like you said, Mitch, that was a little bit, that could have backfired. But I thought he did a beautiful job. And I think on the other side of the ball, Kevin O'Connell really, really fumbled the bag there, especially using the timeouts early in the first half, and led them not to have any timeouts before the half. They couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was really surprising. He kind of burned through them really quick. Yeah, I mean, it really cost them down the stretch of the first half. I mean, I don't know that there's been obviously the Cowboys game was entirely dominant, but the second quarter today was very dominant football from the Detroit Lions. Complete first quarter looked like a different team. I think all three of us were like, oh boy, this might be a bit of a hangover game. Not ideal, but second quarter just turned it on. But yeah, it helped when O'Connell just burned through their timeouts to start the game.
Yeah, I had gotten some texts from other shareholders, said it was reminiscent of the Baltimore game last year. And I heard that and I thought, please don't let us be in for 35-0, just absolutely zero defense, zero offense today. Glad they turned it around. And absolutely needed it too. And you're right on those burn timeouts. He used one, and then he was really angry with Darnold on the other one. You could tell he marched out to Darnold. They had some words really quick. Seemed like Darnold just wasn't clear on something. So that one maybe on Darnold they had to burn that one, and then I think they had that last one. But hats off to Dan, except for the punt call. I mean,
Yeah, you guys want to talk about that? 4th and 7, first
Just
possession of the game.
Just bad. I mean, and I think it's revisionist history. Last year during the Chiefs, it shocked us all. I think we probably would have even still said like, "Holy cow!" But like, you can't. You just like everyone expects that from you now, and it just felt panicky in a time when you really didn't need to do it. Starting the game, I don't know. I didn't like it today. It felt way too early in a game where you know it's going to be a dogfight. You're not an underdog. I don't even know. Like,
It was 1.5.
It didn't feel like they needed to do it.
No, we've talked about it in the past. This coaching staff, they aggressive when you don't need to be, and I've spoke on it big time. Just in previous years when you felt like you couldn't go toe to toe with teams, you had to do some of these moves to try to keep yourself in the game or win the game. And here on the road, in a divisional game, in a game that you are very much, going toe to toe with the best team in the league, and that you are available to, you're ready to. It just felt really weird. Andrew, did you have any more expansion on that? It just felt like, I mean, Mitch kind of alluded to it being a panic move. It just felt like they were way over their heels there.
yeah, I don't know if he was just trying to spark some momentum. Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Did it look like they just came out dead, just flat, no energy, which is weird for a Dan Campbell team? So felt like he was trying to just kind of spark it into everybody there, will it to happen.
Yeah, like Mitch alluded to, you felt the hangover from Dallas, and maybe that's partially how bad they beat Dallas, and partially no Aiden, partially your second travel game of the year, back-to-back road games after a bye. I guess it all kind of is a culmination of that. But they did need something. They did need a kick, and in years past, I think it would have been a slower kick. It took them 5 minutes, all of 5 minutes for that offense to take back. I mean, credit to the defense too for getting stops, but 5 minutes, go off the scoreboard, and Detroit has the lead again. That was the most incredible thing for me. We've seen this offense be prolific and score quickly, but to wipe away that lead right off the bat was huge. And then the defense continued to get stops all day long. Wanted to ask you guys about that. What did you guys think of the defense without Aiden, and what do we think about Sam Darnold?
Brian Branch is a psychopath freak, all-time dog, and we're lucky to have him. I think it was who's going to step up in Hutch's absence, and it was Branch. I mean, he's coming off a great game. Had another one today. Obviously had a touchdown called back, but I mean, Branch is just playing out of his mind right now. He's like a free safety back there. He's just floating around, absolute ball hawk. So I think overall, defense played pretty decent. It felt like Hutch is the defensive end pressure is a problem. They talked about it quickly about how a lot of the pressure was coming from the interior. They need D end help. I mean, I thought AG called a pretty good game today. You saw Brian Branch in a couple of blitzes. You saw people coming from different angles, different positions. I don't know. They gotta go get someone. I'm still firm on that. I thought the defense did well, but I think it was evident today that they need D end help. Houston has got to go. Houston's bad. He's bad.
Houston, we have a problem. Been waiting to say that, eh? And
had that one queued up.
I think it was like extremely apparent on the Aaron Jones run too, and the Aaron Jones touchdown run. I mean, I know they blame Terry on that he's got to have contained there, but that's where the Max Crosby, Aiden, they're just kind of larger than life people, and they account for more space. They can make their body wide and make themselves almost two people, where he's going to force Jones inside on that because he can't outrun him. And then Terrion's got a couple extra seconds and a couple extra steps to get over the top of Aiden and force Jones towards the sidelines even further. So as soon as I saw that play, that's where I thought, like, this is going to be a tough day. They're going to attack that the entire time, but kudos to Pascal for really stepping up after that. Was it just one sack that he ended up with?
Yes.
Okay, I thought he had two. Maybe it was just two injuries that I'm remembering.
That's exactly what you're thinking of.
They had 4 sacks on the day total. Pascal, Nowaski, Campbell, and Malcolm Rodriguez, year 4, each had solos. solo sacks there and a couple TFLs.
Saw a ton of Rodrigo today.
Yeah, felt like he was really involved.
Yeah, and obviously we knew that was going to happen a little bit more with Barnes being on the IR, but with Hutch being out, saw a lot of Rodrigo out there today. Thought he did well too. I didn't really see any plays like where you really like the one pass. They talked about it, like you can't just leave a linebacker out there in coverage on a wide receiver. It's going to happen every single time. But again, that's because Darnold had a ton of time to throw. So hey, blitz packages are great. I don't know. Feels like you're gonna at a certain point have to rely on putting four guys down and going to get after the quarterback, and that's not a thing right now. Sam Darnold had 35 yards rushing, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold had 35 yards rushing. I mean, what are we gonna do? How many? 39? Yeah, that's a problem. We're gonna face a lot more mobile quarterbacks than Sam Darnold.
Can we talk about him complaining about the Brian Branch hit on his slide, though? I mean...
Yeah, I've never liked Dean Blandino more. He's like, yeah, that's pretty soft, basically. Like, not enough there for me to call that.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do is attempt to get out of your way. He slides as BB's making his attempt for him, and he does everything he can do to get out of his way. The least Darnold can do is get to the ground as quick as possible. Put the back of your head to the turf, man.
Yeah, he held his head up the whole time like a turtle trying to get out of a shell.
That might be the best line I've ever heard. But Sam Darnold's got a very punchable face, so I mean, anybody's going to want to try to make impact on that.
Actually, Lady Lion made the comment he's got a chameleon tongue. Apparently that thing was coming out like doing some weird things.
We might need a chameleon sound effect. This is totally outside the purview of what we were just talking about, but I saw Nick Mullins with his helmet on at one point in the game, and I thought, are they thinking about doing a little switcheroo? Are they not believing in Sammy? And I don't... What? Well, I don't know, too. After Jared almost lost the ball there, kudos to Jared for sneaking around it. Pocket presence actually pretty good there. They showed Fox. They showed the Sam Darnold warming up with Josh McCown, I think is who it is, their quarterback's coach, slapping his wrist, slapping the ball, trying to maintain that composure with the ball. I thought maybe Sam Darnold was dealing with a little bit of a finger injury, perhaps, and maybe that's why Nick Mullins was suited up. But yeah, I thought that was curious. But Sam Darnold on the day also threw 22 completions, 22 of 27, 259, and quarterback rating of 103. Jared's quarterback rating 140. He does not continue the streak of plus 150.
And they didn't throw a pass to him, but they clearly were trying to. I mean, the exact same.
I wanted
play
him to.
The Lions. Oh, I thought that was going to be a pick all day long.
That's what I mean. I was hoping JJ was going to throw that ball. I was willing it.
Definitely not ran to the detail the Lions fronted at.
Is anything though? You simply can't create and recreate the Lions offense. That's what makes it so great. Like
we shouldn't talk about this too much. Chris Christie is more than likely listening and getting really upset that we're talking about the just trash behavior from the Lions last week.
You just know he was on his couch wherever and he saw the Dan Campbell call to go for it on the punt, 4th and 7, and he was like, "Yep, there, told you this guy's not a good coach, shouldn't have a job."
Yeah. Chris Christie with the largest fupa in men's history.
I was just gonna bring that up. As soon as he made those comments, him at the charity baseball game and the baseball pants started recirculating. It's just a bad look.
Please, can we stop? I don't need to visualize that any more than I already have. Yeah, that was an odd comment this week to come out. But yeah, you touched on it, Andrew. Justin Jefferson only 29. Oh, I can't talk right now. Only 81 yards on 7 catches today. In years past, he has absolutely torched this Lions secondary, so I was happy to see that they could kind of keep him in check. 81 yards isn't really in check, but it's a day at the office that the Lions defense will take every time. And Naylor had a good game too, 76 yards on 4 catches, and Jordan Addison 66 yards. But outside of that, that was your 3 receivers for the For the Vikings on the ground, Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold combined for over 100 yards. Aaron Jones, 14 carries, 93 yards, and that touchdown right off the bat. Andrew, you spoke on it too. It's kind of a big ask of the defense too to have a short field there. Couldn't help but think, as the game went down and was so close, that boy, if they hadn't done that fake punt, who's to say what would have happened on that drive? Maybe just a field goal and maybe not a score at all, but those points were going to rear their ugly head. Touched on you being so close with the score prediction. Were you thinking just maybe when it was so close at the end there, 28-29, did you think we were going to have a chance at 33-31?
I was actually taking the Mitchell approach, trying to figure out how I was going to be getting to 33.
It almost came to fruition. Took the over.
I'm glad it didn't, because that would have been the opposite way around, but
Well, the Lions could have got a safety, though. Safety and overtime to win it. I wouldn't have hated that. Wouldn't have hated it. But yeah, no Aiden out there. You want them to go get somebody. Mitch, are you still in the camp that you thought perhaps, with the 3 games you laid it out in front of us, you said Minnesota, Tennessee, and then Green Bay, and then the trade deadline. So do you still think they go with the guys they got right now for another week or two?
Well, it sounds like, I think everyone knows by now, the term used all week is the Lions have been kicking tires, trying to explore the trade market. Hassan Reddick was one of those guys signed with the Jets, which I thought Reddick's deal was hilarious. I don't know if you guys caught it. Andrew, I know you didn't catch it. You're not a details guy when it comes to contracts.
Headlines only.
They literally signed Reddick and said, okay, fine, we won't actually fine you the $12 million we can rightfully fine you for all the games and practices you skipped. So it's the same deal. They just washed away the fines. Hilarious.
So nobody wanted him?
He was holding out for more money, basically. And then it just kept...
And I also had, is it true if they traded him within the NFC, they had to give up another pick as well?
That's genius by the Eagles.
Shout out to our number one shareholder for pointing that out to me. I didn't know that was part of the clause.
Genius by the Eagles. So they survived the day against, I still think, a top 10 team in the NFL. But as we kind of talked about, it was pretty evident they weren't getting any pressure off the edge. James Houston is a huge problem. I think they need to go get somebody. I don't know that it needs to be a top, and it doesn't necessarily need to be Max Crosby. Go get a couple mid-tier guys, a mid-tier guy if you could find it. They've lost Davenport, they've lost Hutch. You can't just lose the guys that are your quarterback rushing guys, and Hutch was so much more than that. But I think they need to get someone. I think if they just wait and wait, the pickings get slimmer and slimmer. So I think if I'm watching tape today and I'm Brad and I'm Dan, you start getting on the phone with some teams and figure out what it's going to take to move a couple of pieces and bring them in and get a little more talent on the edge of the defensive line, for sure.
Andrew, what say you?
I think they're gonna go get somebody. I think it's just not gonna be that splash guy. There's really nobody left to do it, and I think they're just gonna do it by committee. Ukwu did a good job of stepping up and doing his thing, and Nowaski did a good job. Not the same position, but they're getting pressure, like you said, Mitch, from the interior, and you see it. You got 3 linebackers with a sack this week, so. Clearly, the defensive scheme has switched a little bit, and they're going to change it depending on the teams they play. Luckily, they don't have the strongest rushing attack coming at them this week, and not the most mobile quarterback either. Pollard. But there's no real quarterback that's not mobile that hasn't hurt the Lions either. So. I think they're still going to do it by committee. I think it's going to be right up into the deadline if they do something.
Yeah, they're almost worse against non-mobile.
Did you hear that, Ben? Did you hear that?
Do. Where's the sound effect for that? That and the baloney slinging. That's what we're missing right now. There you go. There it is. Wow. Must have downloaded that one pretty quickly. Thanks, Tommy. Did you guys catch much of the new guy too, Pat O'Connor? I saw him out there a couple times, saw his name called. He had 2 total tackles on the day, but I'm curious to see when we get the PFFs out what his rating was. But nothing really stood out to me, good or bad, with him.
The one time he stood out to me, he completely threw his blocker to the side, and he was 2 yards deep into the backfield. I'm assuming it was Aaron Jones, ball carrier. Had no idea where to go, and then he just kind of missed the tackle. Luckily, there was somebody else there to kind of help rein it in. He couldn't do the wrap up, but looked good there.
Showing us something there. What else from the market? Do you guys think they need any help at offensive line? We saw what they were like without Big Z. Sheik out there, who had shown some promise filling in previous games, really looked out of sorts at times, especially to start the game.
Yeah, to me, I texted you guys and suddenly I'm thinking offensive line first round of the draft. It's way too early to be thinking about the draft I think this is like a luxury pick, but it is clear that the depth is a little bit of a problem. And Andrew, you talked about this for the longest time. I think, going into the draft this year, you talked about the offensive line depth being a little bit of a problem. So it's still a problem. Clearly, Sheik struggled today. And I think at a certain point, you also have to consider there's some guys getting up there in age, and Big Z only signed a 1-year deal. So I think, we might see Brad and Dan look in the trenches as they love to do, and it's worked. I have no problem. If those guys want to draft every fucking position, excuse my language, in like the draft as a offensive line, go for it. I mean, that's why we have the running game success. That's why we have Goff's success. That's why we have an awesome nickname in running back, Sonic and Knuckles. It all starts in the trenches. So it would not surprise me if that's where they looked in the draft. I think they've addressed so many other positions. It's time to start building that up again.
The most casual F-bomb you've had, I think, in this podcast.
Agreed.
That was genuinely an accident.
I was just talking there. And no, Mitchell, I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it, especially where the team's at, right? And it really depends on where they finish in the season and what transpires. Secondary is still an issue, but the issue with those guys is they seem like they're better after they've developed for a few years. So tough to go out and spend a first-round pick on them. I think they're carrying like 9 or 10 offensive linemen, though, and they've already picked up a few long-term developmental guys, for lack of a better word, right? You got Christian Mahogany, who just recently reported to the facility. He's been out with mono for months. You've got Manu, I forget his name. Giovanni Manu, the Canadian, who's got a lot of work to do as well. So he's hopefully going to be ready to play next year. And then you've also got Colby Sorsdale from the year before. So he should be about ready to go as well. So I think they've got a lot of those developmentals. Yeah, it would be nice to get an absolute first round pick as well. We just got Decker with their new contract, but no offense, Decker, and a nice left tackle wouldn't be bad, but I think that's the plan for Manu coming forward. So I think it's going to be starting right guard going forward.
And Big Z,
or center.
Yeah. Big Z, big part of this offensive line, I think probably underrated, suffered that groin injury on Thursday. I don't have a ton of details. I don't know if you guys know anymore. All I'm seeing is that he worked with trainers on Friday, but was not able to get up to game speed. And so he went to questionable and did not start this game, did not play, obviously didn't dress. But I don't think that's going to be a super long-term thing. Do you guys have any more details on that besides what we know from that?
No, I was hoping no news is good news. And for those keeping track, that's the third starting offensive line combination.
Yeah. Hopefully it's like a week-to-week thing. I know we don't want to look past the Titans, but if it's something that's gonna nag him, and we can hold him out and we can get it done with Sheik one more week. I hope
that was a nice rhyme right there.
Hopefully we can. I don't know.
I think if Big Z does miss the game against Tennessee this week in practice, he gets those first team reps, he'll be more involved, more chemistry in that position that he hasn't had to fill in for. He's positioned filled in for others. So I think if you're looking for confidence, that hopefully will give you confidence that if Big Z is missing next week, at least that chemistry, those reps will. Because it felt like as the game went on, Sheik found it eventually, but it did take a long time for him to work his way in there. But we've seen him be, fairly decent at that position. What else? What else from today? Did we have any more takeaways from today besides Kings of the North?
I mean, I'm looking for PFF grades. So far, I've only seen you get a sneak preview, top 3 players of the game. BB, top ranked player of the game, like 91.6, I believe I just saw. Doesn't surprise me at all. Guy's out of his mind the last couple weeks.
Out of sorts and filling in a big way for a defense that is missing their animal right now with Aiden out there. They need that animal, and maybe it doesn't come from that DN position, but maybe it comes from the secondary, and that secondary is growing. Thought Terrion played better. A couple bang plays that could have resulted in penalties, but clean. Carlton Davis near fumble forced there, and Brian Branch almost added to his stat sheet today with a nice juke at the end on Aaron Jones, I might add. What did you guys think about that play? Like, as far as the review goes, at first it looked like he was clearly out, but then they were really looking at it. I thought for a minute there we were going to see them say, indisputable, or the evidence wasn't indisputable.
It was really, really close. I was shocked at how close it was.
Yeah, live action, I thought, this is one of those ones they're just kind of running to run out, Same with the Tim Patrick. I thought he was down.
That was the wasted challenge on that. I mean, we talked about Kevin O'Connell's decision making, but I don't know who buzzed down to tell him to review that. I know it would have been a pivotal play. They could have really taken all the momentum, which they already had most of it. But it was very clear that he was down. I was surprised Greg Olsen initially was saying that he was like, "Oh, that ball is out." I got a little worried there for a minute because I was away from the TV and I was listening. But then I saw the replay and I thought, "There's no way that's." Even with my Lions bias, there's no way that's a fumble. But yeah, that was incredible. Talked about David Montgomery's injury, Paschal with a couple injuries as well. Did anybody else go out for the Lions? Not off the top of my head.
No, just my favorite injury of the day. Not in this game.
Oh, you got an injury of the day? Let's hear it.
Deshaun Watson.
I mean,
see you later. See you later, loser.
That's right. The Achilles.
Video,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, the video was gross. Again, like karma's gonna get you, but that video was nasty.
That always gets me about Achilles injuries is like the fact that you can see them pop.
It's just so unsettling. It's so unsettling to watch.
It's like oh, that's disconcerting that can happen to the human body.
Yeah, it was clear as day too.
Yeah, that's the one injury that you're like, you don't even have to speculate. Like what that's going to be. Tommy, let's roll the halftime capsules and then we'll talk extras, BAM's players, and talk week 7. And talk about punch, counter punch. Lions come out flat, but wow, I love the way they responded. Jared Goff, 12 of 12, once again perfect in the first half. Spreading the ball around, love to see that Lions offense up around 250 yards. Minnesota failing it in the coaching staff by burning all their timeouts. Didn't have a chance to do anything before the half. Lions have totally flipped this game. Down early, now up 21-10 into half. Defense took a little time to settle in without Aiden, but I like to see what they're doing out there now. Gave up that touchdown early thanks to Dan's blunder. They're calling in the 4th and 7 fake punt to start things in the hole. But man, what a gritty response, a resilient group. Monty goes down, Gibbs fills in, Monty's back in the game. Love to see that. Gibbs out there, Sonic and Knuckles showing us what they're all about. Brian Branch floating through the air. Sorry to steal your line there, Andrew, but INT looking like a thing of beauty. They're winning the turnover battle and they were responding. But guess what? That punch is coming back from the Vikings. The Lions have exposed them a little bit, so showed what they're really about. And Darnold in who he really is in that first half. Got to keep that going, though. Minnesota's a 5-0 team, no mistake. They're going to come back with a punch. Got to be ready for it and respond. Get a huge dub in the Norris division. Let's go, Lions. The NFC Norris. And I got to address something real quick. There's some kids making noise at the pool. I'm sorry. I think through the editing process that Tommy's going to do, I think we're not going to hear it. But if you do hear it come through, no concerns there. But Ben, not quite getting the memo on 60 seconds, coming in at 88 seconds there.
44.
Oh, this is the wrong thing. Here's what we're trying to play.
Halftime shareholders been a
Tommy,
stressful
you gotta be
day
better.
already. Lions did not start us off on a stress-free foot. We did not get our first possession score once again. Put that in the books. Not looking good for us. Don't know if we can get it anymore. But we've turned it around. Second quarter, huge difference. Didn't look like the team was there ready to be there, offense or defense. Second quarter, flip switched. BB injecting momentum into this game. Huge hits by him, and then floating through the air to get that turnover.
Flip switched, eh?
Momentum. Gibbs on the offensive side of the ball with that massive run, followed up with his second score. It's a Sonic type of game today. We just need to finish this out. Squabble Sam Darnold, keep him at bay. Can't let him run on us. That's tough. Keep him contained. Don't let him get quick passes off and finish this game off. Let's go Lions.
I didn't make one. I'm so sorry, boys. Oh, no. Andrew.
I see what I did. Don't worry.
No, not you. You've got the ultimate chance here. The mute monster has struck all the way down
Oh, boy.
in Texas.
I didn't
it's
even
traveled.
see it.
It's traveled. Oh, shout out to myself there. Yeah, trying to mute myself for the kids here at the pool, and not something I usually do. So the hot mic, the reverse hot mic, was the cold mic there for a minute. That's on me. I got to be better.
Yeah, we have an injured cub at home, so I was not able to. I was nap trapped today for the other fathers out there. I was nap trapped during the game, which was it was nice. Kept me calm, at least outwardly for the first couple hours of the game. But we've got an injured cub, so that prevented me from doing a halftime capsule. But I thought my lovely co-host did an amazing job.
Thank you, sir. That has got to be hard to contain your emotions when nap trapped.
It's very hard, but it's so good. It's like because then she woke up, and I just started freaking out.
Perfect timing. Andrew, you want to touch on your opening drives? That lack of score on opening drive today puts him at 2 of 6. You had 13 of 17, so it's still alive, my friend. We're not dead.
I feel like with the trend we're on, is she may be dead in the water. It may be the better term for it. Don't know if that one's going to come round, but hoping for that top 5 offense and defense still.
Yeah, should be sitting better there. Without Aiden, they give up 29 points today, which, you think if Aiden's in this game and involved, maybe that score's a little lower. But it is what it is, and hopefully they get some help there at the end. A lot of flags today, by the way. 16 accepted penalties. We touched on that. Both teams with 8. But, man, were you guys getting sick of the laundry on the field today? That was coming from both sides, too.
Coming from everywhere, too. I mean, every judge was getting involved. That was coming from the backfield, the defensive backfield, coming from the side judges. I mean, everybody was getting the flags involved.
And we touched on it. We touched about it on Wednesday's show. Minnesota opponents had been the most flagged in the nation, in the world, in the NFL. But it was a little surprising to see how many flags there were today. And how can we not talk about Minnesota nearly getting an extra play there at the end there? Because apparently if you're all set and it's an illegal formation, that's not considered a dead ball penalty. And since there was one on the clock, very confusing rule there. And it seems like a loophole.
Yeah, I think that's going to get fixed. That feels like one that's going to get adjusted in the offseason, if not sooner.
I thought it was only extended with a defensive penalty.
Yeah, it's like the one instance where it can, I guess. I don't know. It feels like a loophole, and it seems like something that could be exploited, if you're trying to get an extra play in at the end there without a timeout. I don't know. Of course, it was with 1 second. I thought when they caught the ball before that, I thought, there's no way they have enough time to get up and spike it, but they did in an illegal formation. but they were set, so I guess that's why. I don't know. But I thought we were going to have another Minneapolis miracle there, and we were all going to be sent home sad. But kudos to the refs for not flagging Aleem there on that hit. Yeah, I almost did that. Aleem, I don't know if you guys caught that because of the penalty on the hold there, and that he got dragged through the defender or the offensive lineman. He didn't get flagged there. So I wanted to give the refs kudos for that because I was happy to see that.
It was a good explanation. They explained it too, which was kind of nice.
Shout out Clay Martin. Yeah, I touched on it, Mitch. Lions are searching for that DN edge still, but having trouble with the finances and availability of these players. And I'm sure you guys have heard, too, that Aiden is a Superman, and his timetable could have him back if the Lions made the Super Bowl, which would just be insane.
Nerds.
I just don't believe it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
no, I feel like
nuts.
I feel like that's wishful thinking. But, hey, stranger things have
getting
happened.
to the Super Bowl for starters, yeah.
Right. Well, right
it's
now,
like the Aaron Rodgers talk from last year after he popped the Achilles.
It is like that. God, I hate to compare it to Aaron, but yeah, that is. It's like, well, maybe, and then he was
Hey, the man's
he was out.
right. When you're right, you're right. When you're hot, you're hot.
Man, and how fun is it that we're talking about the Lions like in a legitimate chance to make a Super Bowl?
Yeah, very casually.
I mean, at this point, the path to the Super Bowl in the NFC goes through Detroit.
Right now, for sure.
5-1.
Can we revisit something really quick?
Love to.
I want to talk about Andrew's favorite player again. Because in my mind, Deshaun Watson is signed through the 2026 season. So I'm like, okay, well, he's going to be out at least for the start of the season next year, probably, if not longer. So if you're the Browns, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, we kind of just eat it. Do you guys want to take a stab at Deshaun Watson's cap hit for the next 2 years?
Oof. Andrew, you want to start things off?
Is it like 24 million?
Let me hold on. This year's cap hit is $28 million. So 2025, 2026 gets a little bit of a, and I'll give you another hint. His contract is backlogged because of the way that they restructured. Yeah, it's
backlogged.
Yep.
They
so
structured
this year's
it
$28
poorly.
million. But 2025, 2026 are the same. And then he has another cap hit in 2027 after his contract is done. Throw a number out there for the next 2 years.
Based on the 28, I'm going to say 32.
Okay.
Are we talking about next year's or the final year?
Next year and the year after, they're the same number.
Oh, they're the same number. Okay.
Yep.
44?
$73 million.
Oh! Man.
$73 million. Which
Oh, boy.
represents
Each year?
At-
or is that
at
total?
current- each year, which represents about 25% of the team's cap per year.
Oh, boy.
Now, I don't know how they're allowed to restructure because he has a cap hit in 2027 after he's done playing. So, I don't know what you do if you're the Browns, because with a cap hit like that, I mean, you literally just have to go all draft. I think you just have to hit the restart button on your franchise because of how bad this contract is.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got Nick Chubb there. They just got rid of Amari Cooper.
They have no
But
one.
what else? You got Myles
They
Garrett,
have Myles
too.
Garrett. They can't afford anyone else.
Yeah. Man, that is tough. What do we got here, Andrew? Is that a cat? You froze. Oh, there's the
Garfield.
lion. There's the lion. There's the sound effect at the end of each and every episode right there. But yeah, I don't know. That's not a good situation in
crazy.
Cleveland. But that is an incredible pull from you with that stat. That almost makes
I
me
had to
sick.
keep looking.
It just keeps getting worse too. I mean, you add the injury in there; they were already struggling. The injury doesn't help matters. But man, yeah, let's talk Week 7 in the NFL. By the way, Lions got Titans next week. They can't overlook them with Green Bay in 2 weeks. Green Bay with a win today too. We should probably touch on that. Green Bay walks it off with a field goal. As Brandon McManus, he's the new kicker for them. He goes out in a big way. We all had the Texans there. That hurts. Hurts for the North too. The Packers are 5-2, 5-2 now, keeping pace with the Lions and the Vikings.
Yeah, wanted this one bad. Wanted it bad.
Needed it for the hometown team. Is that what they used to say? Something like that. I feel like that's an old saying.
Score one for the boys back home.
Oh yeah. I think that's where I was going with it. Not so much negative score for the boys back home here.
And had I known that the Packers were going to go out with the all whites, maybe I would have changed my pick here, because those were looking fresh. Although it looked a little bit weird in a 1 o'clock window. That was feel like a prime time.
I don't love the helmets. Something about the helmets. I feel like they could keep their normal helmets for the all whites. I don't know.
I guess I'd have to see them. Maybe I'll do a little Madden sim where you see them. I don't know. I do think they look nice, though. It just seems like that's a primetime fit. In the 1 o'clock window, it just felt weird. Just didn't feel right. But the Packers get it done in Lambeau. The Bengals beat the Browns like we just spoke about. Deshaun Watson leaves with the Achilles. The Bengals, like you said, Mitch, you feel like that's a must-win for them until they get back to 500 with the win today. What does that put them at? Are they
3-4?
3-4? Okay.
I mean, they're very much alive in the AFC. Very, very, very much alive in the AFC.
What's the you've got the Chiefs that are unbeaten. Who's after the Chiefs?
I'm gonna look right now because I'm pretty sure they're like on the cusp of the like if we were doing the like in the hunt graphic I love those. I mean, they're number 9 right now in the AFC, so they're on the bubble.
Yeah,
with the Broncos.
Chiefs 6-0, Texans 5-2. You're 1-2 right now.
Broncos,
with the Bills
much
5-2.
Team.
Broncos are sneaky. You guys want to talk about the Broncos real quick? I didn't believe in Bo Nix, and he's not exactly lighting up the scoreboard, but they're doing a good job spreading the ball around and getting the rushing attack. And Bo's been using his legs probably more than he needs to because he's a little shy to throw the ball right now. But hey, Sean Payton seems like he might be building something there finally in Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of had to take it with a grain of salt because if you look at, everyone was kind of crowning the Saints after they beat up on the Panthers and the Cowboys, then lose to the Eagles, lose to the Falcons, lose to the Chiefs, lose to the Bucks, lose to the Broncos. So I don't think the Broncos are a bad team. Broncos probably are a fringe playoff team, but I think the Saints are also just bad.
Oh, the Saints are beat up.
In a big way. They've got a lot going wrong for them. Yeah, right now it's kind of stark with the point differentials. You don't have any team out there that's on that fraud alert of being positive, but in the negative point differential in the AFC, it's pretty cut and dry. The Jets +5, but they're 2-4. So, like you said, Mitch, getting Hassan Reddick and also Devontae Adams, they'll be playing here. They're playing right now, are they not?
It just started, yep.
I just recalled that. If I refresh the doc here, perhaps we can see what we got going on in that game on NBC right now. The script always takes its sweet time, but Kansas City, your 1 seed if the playoffs started today. Houston 2, Buffalo 3, Baltimore plays tomorrow, so they may move up or down. Pittsburgh also playing right now. They may move. Chargers, Colts, Broncos, and then everybody else in the NFC, everybody's favorite conference. You've got the Lions sitting atop the NFC. You love to see this, and how drastically different this would be had the Vikings won today and improved to 6-0 and the Lions 5-2. That's the difference between a ton of spots right now with how wonky this seeding is right now. But yeah, and the Falcons lose a big one to the Seahawks. Got to give myself props for that one, for taking the Hawks. Mitch, you tried to sway me with the Kenneth Walker news, though.
I did. I really did.
Did you see the lore on that? That it's his birthday today, so they were suggesting that he had just had a hangover. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I said it before. Not a great pick for me. I wouldn't take any of these back though. I wouldn't walk any of these picks back. I still feel good. Maybe Dolphins, but again, I don't think I can pick Anthony Richardson in good conscience. I don't like. Who would have thought that the Jags were just going to blow the doors off the Pats?
And I felt like it was odd that the Jags were favored by so much. I think when we did the show, it was 5, and then it moved up to 6 on the spread. And I thought, man, Vegas must know something that I don't if they're continuing to move this in favor of the Jags. I know that Drake May was questionable after he popped up on the injury report late, so I think it had something to do with that. But, man, yeah, Pats still with only 1 win on the season here. They're looking shoddy. If I switch back to the NFC picture here, look at that point differential for the Lions, plus 62. That's great to see on a 4-game winning streak. But if you want to look at frauds, Falcons 4-3 with a negative point differential. Cowboys 500 with a negative point differential. 49ers lose today, but still have that positive point differential. Something to watch for. This is going to be interesting. Where the 49ers and Rams and the Seahawks, that division out there, the NFC West, who takes that division at this point, you know? The Hawks lead it right now, but a lot of season left, and you got to imagine the 49ers are eventually going to turn it on. And the Rams still beat up, but did we get Cooper Kupp today?
I think he's playing Thursday for the first time.
Okay, so no Cooper Kupp today. Had a chance.
All they needed was their defense today.
Yeah, against a Raiders team that is in shambles. Had a mixture of Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew today.
Yeah, that is a sad locker room. I will say, I don't know if it's just because we've been talking about Max Crosby so much. He looks so large on TV. He looks so much bigger than everybody else.
Very, very tall.
What is his height? What are his measurables?
Don't know, but that
6'5".
It seems like he seems like he has the intangibles to not demand a trade. But man, I wish he would come out and demand a trade so he could just drive his stock down a little bit and we could pick him up for cheaper.
And the fact that he was teasing us, I sent it to you, Mitch, the Instagram story.
Oh yeah.
He's reposting Instagram stories about coming to Detroit and getting a ring. He's flirting with us. He's teasing us. Yeah, still doesn't seem like it's going to happen, but it feels like if it's trending in a direction, it's trending in the direction that it would happen as versus not happening. In terms of where the Raiders sit at 2-5, with him not saying this week he didn't want to sit through a rebuild, which it seems like that's where the Raiders are heading after getting rid of Devontae. So the stars need a lot of aligning. Andrew used to do the star readings for us, but maybe come next episode you can get an update on the star readings as far as what the likelihood of Crosby coming to Detroit is. But I'm gonna keep dreaming on that and just wish something's got to happen. We don't know that it'll be Max Crosby though. Let me get my screen figured out here. Go back to the games. I see that Pittsburgh's up 3-0. Looks like right now over the Jets. What else? Commanders absolutely, like you said, blew out the 49ers. Did we get an update on Jaden Daniels and his injury? Anybody catch that?
It sounds like he might be out one or two weeks with the ribs. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, initials were just ribs and that he was getting x-rays, but we never got any results.
Dan Quinn says he has no update on Daniels. We'll get tests tomorrow and we'll get an update tomorrow. That's your latest. So, but yeah, that's tough. That's tough for the rookie quarterback. You hope he doesn't miss much time there. Don't know who the Commanders have next week, but if we look ahead, I can probably tell you. Go to week 8 here. Who do the Commanders have next week? They've got the Bears. They got the Bears on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday at 4:25. They've got the Bears. So you kind of hope that Jaden Daniels is back for that game to keep the Bears down in the NFC North. That is so strong right now. Need all the help we can get from everybody else. What else? What else? Chiefs stay perfect. Rams, Eagles, Giants. Saquon goes back to his old team. Seemed like the Eagles were always in the driver's seat in that one, 28-3. Miami and the Colts, like you talked about, Mitch, that one was just an ugly kind of wacky game. 16-10, the Colts win. Andrew, I don't know if you had your eyes on Red Zone or anything. I didn't see a thing from the Colts Dolphins game. Didn't seem like there were any notables in terms of fireworks. No Tyreek Hill jumping in the stands, nothing like that.
I was pretty much locked in on Lions game for the majority of the day. Then took the old Murph man for a walk, so didn't really tune into Red Zone until late. But I don't know what they would show from that game.
A whole lot of nothing, it would seem. But yeah, we'll see what transpires from Jets. Steelers got that one going on right now. And then you've got the doubleheader on Monday night, one of them being on ESPN Plus, which is always questionable from the powers that be. But yeah, what else? Anybody have any big takeaways? Will Levis moment of the week doesn't happen because Mason Rudolph stepping in place with him.
I mean, we didn't get any good shots from him on the bench or anything.
Like you said, I didn't get much eyes on anything else with the Lions and the 1 o'clock.
Just no coverage out there. That's our fault.
It is our fault. No one to blame but ourselves. And that's about it.
Just a
That's
good
about
win.
It. Yeah.
Good win. I mean,
go Lions. Right? It was a good win.
Yeah.
Kings of the North. Feels good.
Kings of the NFC.
Kings of the NFC, like I said, goes through the route to the Super Bowl, goes through Detroit right now in NFC. Got to maintain this. And got a big one coming up in a couple weeks versus Green Bay. That's pivotal for the North, pivotal for the NFC. Gosh, is that the one that's in Green Bay? I think that first one's in Green Bay. But I can't remember. No, this one, I don't know.
I can't believe those kids are still at the pool.
I can't believe it either. I'm surely as soon as we hit the stop recording button,
It's
they're
at
gonna be
Green
done
Bay.
with it.
It's at Green
Okay.
Bay, and that's what we like, boys. We like an early November game in Green Bay.
Temperatures still should be friendly. Hopefully not too cold there for Goff and that offense. One of their few outdoor games of the year. They're back in the dome, back inside tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week against the Titans. Mitch, you had at one point looked at tickets for that game.
Everything's just outrageous.
Even still?
I could look really quick. I just now I'm I don't really want to watch them play at times. You know what game I want them to win really, really badly this season? If you guys had one that you're like, that's the one I want, what would it be?
It was
Mine
Dallas
is-
for me.
Okay.
I would like to go to Soldier Field and watch them play the Bears.
Not exactly what I was asking, but I can appreciate that.
Fair.
I want them to annihilate the Bears on Thanksgiving. I want them to just undress the Bears on Thanksgiving.
We would love to see that.
Close second.
Haven't had a Thanksgiving win in a long time, boys. Long time.
Yeah, I mean, right off the jump, Titans at Lions, cheapest ticket, $334.
Wow, even still. Do we have an opening line for that game yet?
Let's look. I'm sure we got one on here.
Andrew, you got a guess?
Yeah, guess that line. I'm gonna say.
The Lions have to. I mean, they're giving up. I think the biggest spread today was 10.5 or something like that. I would say it's going to be Lions giving up 10.
Oof. Yeah, it's. I'm gonna say 8.
I think they get to doubles.
Yeah, I'm more so with Andrew, but I'm gonna go 10 in the hook, 10.5. So I'm gonna say 10.5 and over under. Man, it's gonna be probably all 45.
I was going to say, you got to count on the Lions for 35 at this point.
Yeah.
Just went ahead in the spreadsheet and saw what it is.
No, it
You
is.
guys ready for this?
I was gonna look it up. What do you got?
11.5.
Yeah.
That's what she opens at. Oof.
Oof.
I think if I could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the highest spread of the year. for anybody in the NFL.
So far, I think.
It's getting to that point of the season, though, where the spreads are going to start getting wider.
And I've
Kansas
got
City,
points at 45.5.
Yep. Man, Lions could have put up 45 themselves. Your next biggest I'm seeing is Kansas City 9.5 over Vegas.
10 points.
Chargers got a big one over Nolans.
Bigger.
Yeah, but the Chiefs have struggled with Vegas last year. You remember that? They really struggled with Vegas. Max Crosby's going to eat in that game.
Yeah, Vegas is a little different this year, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's in Vegas. I think it's in Vegas. Could be wrong, though. Packers got the Jaguars next week. Vikings have the Rams. And as we said, Bears got the Commanders. So those are all games to watch next week. Lions and Titans will be in that 1 o'clock window. We'll all see you on the next episode, which may be Wednesday, may not be. We'll see what we can do this week, working through some stuff internally here. But as always, we'll be back next Sunday at our regular time.
We're not breaking up.
What is that Facebook status that people used to use when they were like not breaking up?
Like on a break?
No, I mean that's basically what it means, but complicated. It's complicated.
I know. It's complicated, yeah.
It's not complicated here. There's nothing complicated here. Nothing but this is all we hear. All sorts of things. And spooky things. Andrew, what do the shareholders have to do to the follow button, the like button, the review button? What do they have to do?
I think in the Halloween spirit, I think they got to axe murder that both those buttons. What are they called again?
Carve it up.
And subscribe.
Follow.
Oh,
Rate us.
yep.
Follow the TikTok.
Answer the polls. Axe murder them. 'Tis the season.
Let's go Lions, Kings of the North.
Meow.